Do people in Canada have cable, like other people?
We keep this up in the playoffs. I don't care.
And at Chili's. Is it a Chili's? At Kyle's?
Achilles.
Finally.
You don't know that?
Say it.
Fuck you! Get this guy the fuck out of here!
All right. Well, coming in at number 5, I got Anthony Stolarz.
Now! Jets are winning the cup!
Thank you for watching and listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode number 94 of the NordCast.
Do people in Canada have?
It is episode number 94. It is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. It is our trade deadline preview. I am your host here, NordCast7, joined with none of my main crew. None of them can make it. Jack or Carter are not available. But I wasn't going to leave you guys alone for the trade deadline preview. We probably have somebody who's better than those two guys. This is his 4th time on the show, his 2nd time this season. And he also runs a podcast to himself along with, an Instagram and a YouTube. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. We got Mike Bartner. What's up, Mike? How are you?
I am elated to be back. Am I one of the few? How many other people have been on 4 times? Am I the clubhouse leader?
You are leader? You were tied with somebody else for the most time.
Okay. I got to get to number 5, the 5-timers club.
Don't worry. Maybe we'll have you on for playoffs at some point. We'll see. Or maybe
I'm excited to dive into this, man. We got less than 72 hours to go until the deadline.
Yeah, absolutely pumped. So, first off, how you been? How's the season been for you? I haven't talked to you that much. I heard rumor on the street is you have a podcast since you last came on.
Yes, started my own podcast finally. I was inspired by you, started it up in the box. Me and my one of my high school day one friends, Babiak. We chop it up in person, just talking about hockey. And yeah, it's been going good. A lot different than say a YouTube page or Instagram page or TikTok page. But the long form, it's a nice avenue to really expand compared to more so being like boom, 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 just like throwing shit at the wall in a TikTok or YouTube video. But it's been fun.
Was it a little bit of like a weird adjustment for you when you made your first episode? You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I was rambling. Like I go from like a YouTube video at most being like 12, 15 minutes to having to do like a full hour. And it's just like bouncing off a person. It was tough. We still have a long way to go with the show, but
for sure.
I've been happy with how it's gone thus far.
Do you know what your longest episode has been?
Hour 10, hour 15.
That's rookie numbers.
We still haven't got to like a 2 hour month. Maybe I need to add a third co-host like you have to just.
Oh, that would be absolute chaos, though. I don't know if you want to do that. I listen to the show bi-weekly, and I like the 2 co-host components. And what's funny is a lot of the time, you and Babs don't really have the same opinion. Like, you guys don't agree a lot. And I think that makes for a way better podcast than, as opposed to me going on with like my block and we just agree with everything.
Yeah, Babiak is definitely a controversial figure. He thinks outside the box sometimes. It results in definitely some beats. Like we've been having these debates in our fantasy hockey chat for almost a decade at this point, or more than a decade. Started in like 2014. So yeah, we're just doing it with the camera in front of us now. It's been fun.
Well, that's great. I'm glad that's going really well for you. Let's hop into the news around the NHL. We got a bunch of trades to talk about since our last episode. First off, Seth Jones, we'll start off with probably the biggest one, has been traded to the Florida Panthers on a $2.5 million salary retention along with a 2026 4th-round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Blackhawks get goaltender Spencer Knight, a 2026 first, which will slide to 2027 if Florida does not have their 1st-round pick. I was shocked by this. I didn't think Seth Jones was going to get moved, at least at the deadline. I thought it could be an off-season move. But I guess with the comments that he made after the game against Utah, where he had said something along the lines of, we're the same team since the first game of the year, I think that kind of signified that he's gone. But what was your instant reaction to it?
Yeah, I was shocked, not only because he actually got traded, which I said for a while, like that contract, they're going to have to eat 3.5 maybe even to get it done in terms of trading it. But yeah, I was shocked just what like the return was, because he's still making a sizable $7 million and they got a 1st-round pick and they got Spencer Knight that was supposed to be like their successor to Sergei Bobrovsky. They drafted him 13th overall. So I might have been more surprised with like the actual return that Chicago got than Seth Jones actually getting traded. Like if you told me a week ago that they were retaining $2.5 million, I would have said that they would have got like a second round pick or something like that. Not even a first, not even Spencer Knight. Like the return was just so shocking for a guy that I think is a good fit, but still is making a lot of money till he's like 35 years old, where there still is sizable risks. So to be giving up that much, like Bill Zito a lot, but there's definitely some question marks with that one.
Well, I like this move for both teams, but I love it for Chicago. Again, you get the first round pick. I didn't think they were going to get a first round pick. If they were, it was just going to be a first round pick at that. And you were going to have to retain a lot more than just like, I think it's like 25 or like 15% or something like that. But yeah, I was very shocked by that. And then when I saw it was Knight, I was like, oh, wow. Because the thing that really surprised me is like, Chicago, that was like their biggest, well, there's a lot of other things with that rebuild, but one of the biggest things was like, they don't really have like a goalie of the future. Like they have Gajan, who's like not doing well, and then Comesso,
90 in college.
Yeah. So like they really didn't have anybody that was like at least like really good as of right now. And Knight's like 23. He's a, young goalie. He's having good numbers with Florida this year. Last year he didn't play because of the OCD problems and player safety, and Anthony Stolarz was there. And again, like, it's going to be cool seeing him kind of get a real opportunity here as a starting goalie, because people forget, like, the year that he was drafted, literally a few days later, Bobrovsky was signed to that massive 8-year deal. So since then, like, I know that Knight was eventually going to be like Bobrovsky's successor, as you said, but until then, like, Knight never really got a chance to be the starter. I think he's going to get that opportunity in Chicago. But I do wonder, could we see a goalie with the Blackhawks possibly get moved the other way? Because they have, I think, 3 goalies up in the system right now. I think 4 total, but Brossoit's been out for the whole year. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I could see them maybe moving off Soderblom now that they have Spencer Knight. I still rate Knight higher than Soderblom. In terms of Brossoit, yeah, I don't even know what the story is with that. Is he just like still hurt? They don't expect him to come back. Maybe he's just an LTIR candidate. But yeah, I think for Chicago, Knight definitely has to be the guy going forward over Soderblom, over Drew Comesso in the AHL, over Adam Gajan. And as you mentioned about like Knight being so young, I think something crazy is he's the same draft class as Dustin Wolf. Do you think of Dustin Wolf as like a very, very young guy? And he is pretty young, but yeah, he's a 2019 draftee. Like he just made the NHL so early and had an immediate impact that you think of him as not a veteran by any stretch, but if you ask the average person, they'd probably say that he's like 25, 26, not 23 years old. So he still has his whole career in front of him and had a pretty damn good first game for the Chicago Blackhawks and had been outplaying on a per game basis, not granted in a backup role, Sergei Bobrovsky like this season.
Exactly. Going over to Florida, again, I still like it. Like, yeah, you get Jones. He's not going to be playing as much minutes as he was in Chicago or even in Columbus. Like, this guy is absolutely no stranger to racking up a lot of minutes. I think, like, ever since, I think it's like 2015-16, he's averaged more than 20 minutes of ice time in a season. I'm not saying he's going to have, like, a drastic increase and not, like, play at all, but he's definitely going to get a lesser role there with Florida because he's not the number 1 guy. He might not even be the number 2 guy. So this gives leverage, first off, for Florida with Aaron Ekblad. And I wonder if maybe he might be, like we said that Knight was going to be Bobrovsky's successor. Maybe Jones is going to be Aaron Ekblad's successor.
Yeah, Aaron Ekblad probably wants some kind of 8-year deal. And now Florida has Seth Jones at a relatively decent $7 million for 5 years instead, to the point where, yeah, I think Aaron Ekblad might be testing the market, might be heading elsewhere just because he has not looked like the same player since 2022. Still a good player, but if you're Bill Zito, are you ready to give him some 7-8 year deal at 7 point? I don't think that he's going to want to take a pay cut when he's making $7.5 million right now. I don't think you can justify giving him like $8 million on a long-term deal when you have Seth Jones ready to step up and be that number 2.
Yeah, definitely not. So I wonder if that could be something we see happen there. I also want to say, like, there are a lot of people who clown Florida over this. Listen, I don't think Jones is a bad player, but he's definitely overpaid. He kind of went through a stretch where he wasn't really that great for a couple of years. He's had a little bit of a resurgence the last like year and a half in Chicago. Even though, like, I still think maybe $7 million is still a little bit of an overpay. It's still better than $9.5 million. So the way I see it, I think that, Florida made out good on this deal, at least in the short term. I think you get to the end of that deal and it's not pretty. But overall, I think right now, I think they did a good job at this, and I think they needed to make this too. Like again, you look at that blue line definitely got a lot worse since they won the cup. You have Montour leave, OEL leave. You had like Balinskis playing regular minutes, and Balinskis is not bad, but like
Kulikov was their second pair right-handed defenseman.
Exactly. You need another guy in there, and I think Jones is the perfect one. One more thing on this, or actually two more things. I've heard Sam Bennett's name out there now, and they're saying, oh, with Jones there, are they going to be able to sign Bennett? Do you think that they can keep Bennett around?
If they decide to let Aaron Ekblad go, they can easily sign Sam Bennett. They're just going to have to choose between the two. And there's arguments for both. As you mentioned, Aaron Ekblad also plays on the right side, going to want a long-term deal. Do you want to give him that? For Sam Bennett, they have Lundell. I assume the plan is eventually for him to become the second-line center, but he definitely is not as suited for the role of a second-line center come playoff time as like Sam Bennett, who's an absolute demon. So, yeah, I think they're about equal. They're about equal in terms of who's going to end up getting traded, and it's just going to be very interesting to see what exactly goes down this summer.
For sure. Yeah. Let's move on from that. We got another trade. We have like 4 or 5 trades that we need to go into. We'll start off with the one with the Rangers, and I know Mike was just hating this deal. The Avalanche acquired defenseman Ryan Lindgren with 50% retained, forward Jimmy Vesey, the NCAA signing rights to Hank Kempf from the New York Rangers in exchange for defenseman Calvin DeHaan, forward Yuso Parson, and a conditional 2025 second and a conditional 2025 fourth. Look, I mean, I get what the Avalanche are kind of trying to do here, but the Rangers, man, like, how do you get it? Like, Lindgren has not been good this year, and you got a second for him. In fact, you're going to get a better of a second round pick between the Rangers and the Hurricanes. So it's crazy asset management by Curry.
It's wild. You just look at, like, it's not even like Ryan Lindgren was playing with some bum. He was playing with Adam Fox, who some people actually do think is a bum right now based on the Four Nations performance. But his Lindgren with Fox had like below a 50% expected goals percentage and goals percentage this year. Fox with Keandre Miller has like a 64% expected goals percentage and goals percentage. Like, he has been dragging down Adam Fox in recent years, and any other defenseman that has played with Fox has really shrived. And it matches with the eye test. Like, he's just not that good of a player right now. Could he be better in a third pairing role for Colorado where he's playing 16 minutes a night? Like, yeah, I guess, but like, you don't give up a second and a fourth, or a decently high second round pick and a fourth round pick for a guy that's going to be playing like 16 minutes a night. Maybe the Josh Manson deal was like similar to this, and it ended up working out. I'd say Manson was better at the time of getting traded, so maybe they can rehabilitate him, but and maybe it's just a reflection on the market. I think in the moment, I thought this was like a horrible deal, but after we saw other guys, or today someone get traded for a second and a fourth, maybe that's just the going rate because someone like Provorov isn't available now. But sizable overpayment in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Lindgren just this year has not been the regular Ryan Lindgren. I think when he is at his best, he can be a good like third pairing shot blocking guy, but again, notice how I said third pairing there, or like a second pairing role. He's not supposed to be like, your number 2 or number 3 defenseman like he was on the Rangers. I would say that, like, first off, I mean, your Colorado is getting him at 50% retained, which I think is like what? You know how much that is?
2.25. He's 4.5, I think.
That's not terrible for, I mean, a guy like Lindgren. It's cheap, and if it doesn't work out, then you can he's a free agent, so you can just let him go, I guess. But, I mean, again, you also get Jimmy Vesey in that deal, who is just there. I mean, he has not been great this season for the Rangers. Was okay last year. Just hasn't worked out. He's bounced around the league a ton. It seems like he's just one of those players at this point. And then the Rangers, they get DeHaan, who has been, in the NHL for a while. His hockey DB stats aren't sexy, as he said. He can be a decent, I guess, like third pairing guy, maybe. It seems like the Rangers are just acquiring a lot of those third pairing guys. It's just like DeHaan, Vakaheinen, Borgen. It seems like they're acquiring a bunch of like third pairing defensemen, but
paid Borgen like a low end second pair guy.
Yeah, but I mean they're still I guess working out. And then they get Parsonen, who is like the replacement for VC. Parsonen, I think, might be in Europe next year. Just as like he's on a third team this year. Hasn't worked out anywhere. Hasn't worked out in Colorado. Hasn't worked out in Nashville. I highly doubt it'll work out with the Rangers because the Rangers are not good at developing young players. So, yeah, I think Parsetin's, it's just like a throw-in. And then the second and the fourth is good.
Yeah, the Rangers are, I don't know if they're going to use those picks, but yeah, they're just acquiring a shit ton of assets, which makes sense. They might still end up making the playoffs this year, but based on what the team has shown them, they're not buyers. Thankfully, they're selling off their bad players.
Yeah, which is good management, I guess. Another trade, Gustav Nyquist was traded to the Minnesota Wild with 50% retained from the Nashville Predators for a 2026 second. Not a lot here. I mean, Nyquist hasn't been that great this season, but last year he was good. So, maybe he can provide some secondary offense for Minnesota. They don't have a lot of bodies either. And as for the Preds, I mean, you get a second for next year. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's just like a standard rental. I think Nyquist is somewhere in between last year it's 75 points, and this year he's on pace for like not even 30. I think he's somewhere in between that, probably closer to the player that he is this year compared to a 75-point guy. But Minnesota has a shit ton of injuries. They're going to safely make the playoffs regardless, but give up a second round pick for a relatively cheap guy. I think he's making like $3.1 million. It's about as standard as like a win-win rental move for two teams.
Just seems like a rental move. It's not
rental move for a solid middle sixer, second round pick makes sense.
Yeah, honestly. And then the trade that happened today between three teams, the Bruins, the Oilers, and the Devils. The Oilers acquired Trent Frederic at 75% retained, 50% from Boston, 25% from the Devils. Forward Max Jones, the Czechia signing rights to Peter Hauser. The Bruins got defenseman Max Wanner, a 2025 second, which belongs to St. Louis, a 2026 fourth. And then the Devils, who are the team that is retaining on Frederic, gets the rights to forward Shane LaChance. Not bad. I mean, Frederic is going to be a good fit there. I think that he is what they need. I want to reiterate with that first, but I don't know why we're giving up a second round pick, which is going to be a top 15 second round pick at that, from St. Louis. It seems like to me, you basically gave up Broberg for Frederic. That's what you said on your thing. And I steal that from you, but that's kind of my thoughts.
It's a seller's market. Like this deal really solidified that. I could maybe buy Ryan Lindgren getting a second and fourth based on like 2 to 3 years ago. He was a very good defenseman playing top pair minutes again with Adam Fox. But this really surprised me a decent amount because it was St. Louis's second round pick. And again, if they get 2023, 2024 Trent Frederic, it's a solid deal. But based on the fact that he's might not even play the rest of the regular season, I'm not sure he's going to hit the ground running massively with the Edmonton Oilers to where I think it is a decent overpayment. I get maybe overpaying for a defenseman at this year's deadline, goaltender at this year's deadline. I feel like there are a decent amount of solid forwards. So to give up this much is a little surprising.
Yeah, it was a little shocking for me. I thought it would be at least, and like if it was their own second round pick, then I guess I could get behind it a little bit more because again, it'll probably be a later one, like 25 to 32 at that possibly. But to give up like what's basically not like a lottery second, but like a higher end second round pick, just seems a little bit weird. But yeah, I think Frederic, he can be a good fit. I'm not saying that they traded a second for a bum, but just overall, it's a little bit weird, in my opinion. Some signings that I want to talk about as well. Jake Evans signed today, 4 years, $2.85 million deal. I love this for Montreal, and I love this for Philadelphia. I'll get into that in a second. But Evans, I think, has had a solid season. I feel like if he went to the market, he could have gotten a lot more. And again, I think you even said it, they weren't going to get a ton of return for him, so there's really no point in kind of just trading him away. They would have gotten that second from Edmonton at that, at most. So I didn't think it was worth trading him. But why I like this for the Flyers is because Scott Lund is just chilling, and there are teams, stocks going up like crazy. So we'll get into that in a bit. But I love that for the Flyers, and I love it for Montreal as well. Ole Maatta also signed a 3 year, $3.5 million deal with Utah. I like it. I think he's been a good second pairing guy, has good underlying numbers. I think he's been effective since being traded there, so I don't hate that. Again, Utah has no defense. It seems like all their guys are hurt. I mean, most of them have come back, but regardless, that's how it's been for most of the year. And then Washington signed Charlie Lindgren to a 3 year, $3 million deal. I love this for Washington. They lock up their tandem to I think it's like under $9 million is what it's at.
It's like 8.85 or something like that.
Mike, let me ask you a question. Do you know the combined total for the tandem that's being paid like this year, like their salary this year?
It's Logan Thompson makes $767K. Lindgren makes $1.1 million.
Yeah.
1.867.
Less than like 1.9.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and it's even still at 9.8 or whatever it is next year. That's still going to be like surplus value.
Yeah.
Assume Logan Thompson will regress a little bit, but that's still probably a $11 to $12 million tandem.
Yeah, exactly. So very good management there by the Caps. And I think that's it. Jesper Boquist signed 2 years, 1.5. Not bad. Good deal. Yeah, he's been good this year. I do want to talk about the Stadium Series as well before we get into the actual trade deadline stuff. The Blue Jackets versus Detroit was the most watched Stadium Series game on U.S. cable ever. 1.6 million on ESPN. First off, this is great. I mean, the game itself, I didn't watch a lot of it because I was at the Royals for most of the time. But I think that looked like a great atmosphere. Looked like a good game too because Columbus went up early and then Detroit came back and tied it, and then a late goal. You know, it was a game too where, you know, the last couple of years you haven't seen one where it had like a lot of playoff implication. These were two teams that were like
wild card battle.
Yeah, so I loved that. But yeah, I think that's a great look for the NHL. It seems like their numbers are really skyrocketing, except for the Winter Classic, but everything else is doing great.
Yeah, it was a great matchup. It was unfortunate that it happened like right after Four Nations, so I feel like it didn't get quite the love that we would have wanted to see. But yeah, it was an amazing game in terms of actually having serious wild card implications for both teams. And they got lucky with that because when it was announced, I was expecting that to be a battle of like the 12th and the 15th best team in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. But battle of 7 and 8 right now.
Yeah. So again, it turned out to be a really good game. I do want to ask you this. What do you think next year's is going to be? Or if you could like make a prediction.
I'll go. Have they played in one recently? I'll go Vegas at Colorado. I feel like it's like two big West Coast teams. I feel like it's been a lot of East Coast teams recently. I mean, yeah, Blues, Blackhawks, but that's like Midwest.
That's I
think they go out west and they do it at Mile High Stadium, whatever the hell it's called nowadays, where the Broncos play.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking Vegas and Utah. What's funny is that I almost got fronked on Twitter. There was this account Frank.
Yeah, I see him on the timeline all the time. So yeah, I love it, but like it's also I get tricked.
He posted something about how Utah and Vegas were getting the next Stadium Series, and I screenshotted it to my group chat. And then I saw, wait a second, why don't I follow Frank Saravelli? And then I was like, oh my fucking God. I almost got punked. And I usually am good at that. Like I usually avoid it, but yeah, not a good look for me. All right. I think that's it for news. We can get into our deadline stuff. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Not a lot of other things that are worth talking about. We're going to go through all 32 teams, and we're going to talk about whether we think they should buy, sell, or stay put. We should go through this relatively quickly. It won't be like that fast, not that rapid fire, unless if like we go deep into it. But let's just go alphabetical order. Anaheim Ducks. I think that they probably mostly stay put, maybe conservatively sell.
I would even go so far to say conservatively buy, just because that I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but like with the shit show that's going on in Vancouver, like. I wouldn't hate the idea of tossing a 3rd round pick to pick up somebody within their third line or bottom pair defense. Like because especially now that they don't have Vetrano or anything, and Gibson's, if Edmonton doesn't want a goaltender, they're not going to have really a spot to trade him. They might be selling this offseason, but I would maybe lean towards a slight buy.
Yeah, maybe. I really haven't heard a lot about Anaheim though. That's
they're probably going to do nothing. They're probably going to stay put, but if I have to. I'm sticking to we got to say buy or sell.
Here he goes. Well, you can stand pat. I'm not gonna like get mad at you for that. Yeah. I lean probably staying pat. Like maybe if like there's the right offer, they sell someone off.
Brian Dumoulin is definitely available for trade.
Yeah, that's the only name that I've really heard though. Boston Bruins, they sold today. I think they should sell. Yeah,
Brandon Carlo. If you get like a great offer, which at this point, if Lindgren got a second, you might be able to get a first for Brandon Carlo.
Yeah, honestly,
Justin Brazeau.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think Marchand's on the move? I don't think so.
Nah. I feel like there would have been more smoke at this point.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more talk around it than that. But again, we've been surprised before. But yeah, I do think with Boston, like you could get some good returns there for Carlo. There are a few other guys they could move. Just anything, honestly. Get some draft capital. Get some get anything, honestly. Like even if it's like a 6th round pick, like you need more prospects. You have like nothing there.
Definitely.
Buffalo, I haven't heard a ton about.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they're not going to trade Greenway. They want to keep Greenway
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems like they might stand pat. Maybe sell a little bit, but like we heard Dylan Cousins' name a few months ago, but I don't think that really happens unless if something big breaks through.
And Byron, they could always just trade him this summer, his RFA rights, if they do want to move him.
Yeah, Adams also mentioned too that he wants roster players. He doesn't want like draft assets or future prospects. He wants guys who can play on the roster now. So if I'm being honest, like I mean, the guys that they can move like Zucker and Greenway, like you're going to get like the equivalent back in return. You're not going to get like anything that like drastically improves unless if they give up more. But yeah, that just seems like what Buffalo is. Calgary, they're very interesting. What do you think about Calgary?
I think they probably should sell, but they're probably going to stay pat. They did their Farabee Frost.
Yeah, they likely stay pat. I think the only move that they really made was that Farabee and Frost deal. Like we heard, I think like a few weeks ago that they're going to keep Rasmus Anderson and Uyghur. They're not going to explore that, which I'm like, I guess I'm okay with that. I probably would have sold him if I'm them, but it seems like to me, they're like the Flyers were last year. And I don't want to make that comparison, but
the Flyers sold. They made the right call.
Yeah, it just kind of screams that to me. But hey, if they want to go for a playoff spot, I don't really blame them in doing so. They're like, I mean, St. Louis is right there behind them and Utah, but Vancouver's in a disaster house right now. They can make it. I mean, it's kind of like the East last year. It's a real toss up between those like 4 or 5 teams.
Definitely.
Carolina's very interesting because Mikko Rantanen is apparently they're expecting goals.
Doesn't want to sign the extension.
Yeah, so I think they should buy, but I mean we might see Rantanen get dealt.
Yeah, I don't think
so though.
I think probably stay pat. I think that they made their big move. They're just gonna if they use him as a rental, it'll stink if he walks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Chicago, they should sell.
Donato has to get sold. Like if they, it makes no sense to keep him on and re-sign him.
For real. I think like even the way you're seeing people like the players get dealt, you could move Donato for a high 2nd round pick. Maybe
even a first he's playing that good.
Yeah, like it's not impossible. Colorado, I think you should be buying at the very least. I think they're gearing up for something. I wonder if Middlestat we could see on the move was a name that I was hearing. Haven't heard a lot.
Filler in some kind of trade.
Yeah, so we'll have to see there. But Colorado, I think, should buy. Columbus,
buy.
This is very intriguing. Buy, really?
They're not at this point. Like the season's so magical. I don't know. Selling would just put a damper. If they sold Provorov during this run, no, I think Saturday's Stadium Series like cemented that they're either doing nothing or they're buying, and in like a light buy again, similarly to Anaheim, 3rd round pick, maybe a 2nd for some guy that has term after the season. Yeah. But Don Waddell seems set on it. I don't think Don Waddell thinks his team's going to win the Stanley Cup, but making the playoffs after all that they've been through would just be so awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you probably stay pat or go for like a conservative buy. I think Waddell, like realistically, what I think Waddell should do is be like, I believe in this team. I think that they can go on a run and make it for the playoffs. It's been a magical season as it is. Like, who would have thought they would have been in the first wild card spot at the trade deadline? Like, that is just wild to everybody and for me. And there's a lot of teams below them too that are like they are hot. So we'll have to see where things go with Columbus. What about Dallas?
I think they're probably going to stay pat. Just because they did make, I don't know what else they really need. Like, obviously, you can improve still, but they got another forward for the forward core. They got a right-handed defenseman. There's no other right-handed defenseman out there at like a reasonable price unless they want to. I guess maybe they could have go after like Brandon Carlo, but yeah, at this point, they couldn't even get one because then they'd have to put like Dumba or Labushkin on like waivers. So they're staying put probably. They traded their first-round pick. They got 2 guys. We're good.
Yeah. Well, I have something to follow up. Literally like 5 minutes ago, per Darren Dreger, Johnson just scored his 22nd goal of the year. There are some speculation on an extension soon with the Stars. I don't expect this will get done until the summer, though. And we did hear that Cam Robinson, that they reportedly offered him like an 8x8, which if that deal goes through, holy crap! Like, I don't think that they should.
Yeah, that's way too cheap.
Way more. And when I saw that, I'm like, holy crap, Philly, go
offer sheet 5x11.
You have so many picks. Go for it. I don't care.
Michkov.
Exactly. We need a guy alongside Michkov too, for sure. What about Detroit?
I'd buy.
Yeah, I wouldn't go. Yeah, I wouldn't go like insane buy, but
yeah.
I feel like you could use a guy on the back end, some extra blue line.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Petrie's out for the year. There's Andrew Kopp is also out for the season as well. So there's a few options they could pick up, but again, I think they're like Columbus in a sense where like there's not a ton of pressure on them, but I feel like there is some pressure.
I think there's a little bit more just because they kind of blew it last year. But no, if they miss the playoffs, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least they're not going to be bottom 10 like you predicted them to be.
Yeah, it was a miss.
Don't worry.
Hey, a lot of season left. For all we know, they could be.
Don't worry. That take looked good until Tom McClellan was hired.
Lalonde was just that bad of a coach.
Exactly.
I didn't realize he was that bad.
Yeah, it changed everything. The Edmonton Oilers, they should buy. They bought today. They got Frederic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can say all the things we want about a goalie, but I just don't think.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen this summer. I think they're going to give Stuart Skinner one last run.
I feel like it'd be funny if they crash and burn in the second or first round against LA, or I think they play Vegas or somebody. It would depend, but it would be crazy to see him crash and burn, and then Stan Bowman looks like an absolute idiot. But yeah, I think Edmonton should definitely buy. Florida, I think is. I mean, they do have a lot of cap space, so I wouldn't count them out yet. But they don't have a lot of assets.
I think maybe another smaller buy, third pair defenseman, fourth line grinder that they think is an improvement. I think that could make sense. But yeah, they're not going to pull out another. They don't even have this year's first or next year's first, right?
Yeah, they don't have this year or next year's. I don't even know if they can trade their 2027. So again, just
they're
I get you want to go for a cup, but I feel I think your team is fine.
Yeah, they're good enough. They're good enough right now. Just depth buy or something like that.
Yeah. I think a team that should definitely be aggressive on the market and not just buy, but aggressively buy is the LA Kings. They have a ton of assets.
Definitely. They need to take a serious swing this offseason.
Yeah. Rob Blake, his job might be on the line. Definitely. I think if they lose again in the first round to especially the Oilers with pretty much the same team, what are you doing? I think that I mean, you fired McClellan last year and they still lost in the first round. I think if you lose in the first round again this year, I think it's probably Blake's job to go.
Yeah, I think this is probably their team that might have the best chance too.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree with that. Minnesota Wild.
Maybe another light buy, but after Nyquist, I think next season's the first year where they're going to have some serious expectations when the Parisi and Studer buyouts are over or mostly over. But I think after that Nyquist move, not sure they're taking a swing on a Brock Nelson, and they don't have their first or second round pick this year. No second round the following year from the Eurocheck trades, so they just got to sit back at this point.
Yeah, just I think maybe make one more move, get a depth forward or something like that. But I think at least as of right now, they're not going to go for Nelson, as you said. I don't see them with the assets, and I don't think it's really worth it either. Montreal Canadiens, I think they mostly stand pat.
Yeah, I think,
but mostly stand pat.
Yeah, Jake Evans, bring him back. Savard, Armia potentially, but I think considering they've won their last 5 games, I think they're just going to try to maybe go have some miracle run to make the playoffs. And if they don't, they're going to be losing sleep about not getting like 2nd and 3rd round picks.
Exactly. I mean, maybe I've heard things about Armia. I think Savard, like there's almost no chance he leaves. They've made it clear multiple times before, like he wants to stay in Montreal. He wants to be a Canadian, but I don't know. I don't think they really have a ton to move either without, giving up more in return. The Nashville Predators. They're interesting. They're an interesting team.
I would make like basically everybody available. If someone's willing to take Ryan O'Reilly, Ryan O'Reilly, give up serious assets for Ryan O'Reilly, I would seriously consider that. 2 more years after this at 4.5, that's very attractive. I'd think about trading him.
Agreed. I mean, they're like, in terms of future assets, they're not really in a bad spot either. They have a ton of 1st round picks. They have 3 this year. I mean, again, they still have a lot of extra draft capital there as well. I mean, it wouldn't really hurt for them to move O'Reilly. Like, what are they really going for? I heard they say like, oh, we want to trade O'Reilly to a guy he wants to go to, or we're going to hold on to O'Reilly. I don't really see the point in that. Like, I mean, you're not making the playoffs. It's pretty clear. If there was going to be a miracle run, it would happen by now. So why not? I'm not saying you go full blown and trade away everyone. Like, I'm not saying trade away Roman Josi or Saros or, like that. Although I do think that could happen. But I think more likely than not, you should trade O'Reilly and like you could maybe get a late first from it.
Yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah. So again, I think Nashville's one of those interesting cases. The New Jersey Devils are really interesting. They retained on Frederic today. Could you see something coming from the Devils? I think they need to do at least something because they have been slowing down, especially since the calendar year has started.
I think I would stay pat, and then I think. I mean, if I'm ownership, I would want to stay pat because Tom Fitzgerald should be fired if they don't make the playoffs, even with the injuries that they've had. Like, I don't know if I would let Fitzgerald cook. I've been complimentary of him, but if they miss the playoffs, his ass should be fired. So like this has been very underwhelming the last month and a half. I understand that like some type of move maybe could fix them, but yeah, it's make or break time for Fitzgerald. And again, this team is hopefully going to be competitive for the next 8 years. Where this year you don't have to do something insane to kind of salvage it.
I agree. It seemed like there was a massive gap between them and Columbus and all that for the like 3rd spot. Like they seemed like they had a pretty good cushion even like a week or 2 ago, and all of a sudden they're 4 points back. So the race might open up even more than we really think. So just things are becoming crazy there. But yeah, the Devils have not been good since the start of the calendar year. I think they're like 10-4, and they have a rough record against really good teams. So yeah, it's just not a great look there for New Jersey. Your Islanders.
Sell. You gotta sell. Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri actually have a goal tonight, which is pretty funny. But yeah, both should definitely be sold, no doubt.
Yeah, the fact that they're playing is like actually.
Hey, I mean, it might have worked. Boost the trade value. Let me see if they've.
I guess so. Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, oh wow, they're not going to scratch them for trade purposes. I don't know, but yeah, I think they definitely should sell. I mean, like if you told me a month ago, maybe they stay pat, but I think now, like you're almost 5 points out,
especially last night's game. Bad.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less likely. I think you should end up just selling and try and get some assets because they're like the Bruins. They have like no capital besides their own. It wouldn't hurt to have another. Like I think you could definitely get a first for Nelson, and you might even be able to get early second, late first for Palmieri too.
Yeah, for what Nyquist got. Yeah,
exactly. So. I think you would be great. Like even a little bit more draft capital could go a long way for this team and kind of like try and retool on the fly here and get some decent guys. The Rangers are selling off their bad players.
Riley Smith. Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you think they could make a positive like buy? more?
No, I think you just ride it out. If you make the playoffs, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. Do something aggressive this summer. But yeah, at this point, I think you just sell Riley Smith for a second round pick and just see how it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I don't think they should make like a drastic move. They made a drastic move though, getting JT Miller. But apart from that, like, I think anything else you really do, it's not going to change a lot. You're right there with the Red Wings. You're tied with them. Like, you can get into a playoff spot, but above all, I just think that like you ride this team out and you evaluate in the offseason and see what else you can really do. Your Ottawa Senators.
Light buy, like a Ryan Donato trade, like a second round pick, third round pick to kind of get some forward depth, most likely. But they're not safely in a playoff spot where I can say like go for it. And also they don't have one of their first round picks the next 2 years, so nothing too aggressive.
Well, I was talking to LeBlanc about that, LeBlanc from the MVP, and saying that I think, like, if you're going to give up your first, I think you should do it this year, especially, like, even if you don't make the playoffs and it's, like, maybe, like, a 15th to 14th pick. Yeah. I think you should give it up.
You can't risk.
Like, next year, you could crash and burn. Yeah. You could crash and burn next year, and then you don't have like a 10th overall pick or something like that.
No, I definitely agree. If they were like safely in an Atlantic spot, maybe you trade the first round pick and go for it. But no, they've been too inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that at least definitely over since the Four Nations break is concluded that you need to at least like you might light buy again as you said, but I don't think you go like full blown in. The Flyers, even though they love to just win games and piss me off, I think they need to sell. They're just so inconsistent. Yeah,
Lawton, get them out of there.
Yeah, trade Lawton away. I don't really think you can move anybody else. So if you can move Lawton for another first, I would love that. I mean, again, you already have 3. I really think, though, and there's one thing that people aren't realizing, like, I really think they need to go, like, big game hunting in the offseason. Maybe even go out and get a guy like Wyatt Johnston or use those first at the draft to go and get someone else big.
Yeah. They should not be, especially if they get a first for Lawton, they should not be picking like with their 8 top 50 picks that they have right now or something like that. They got to package that to either move up in the draft or seriously get someone serious to help the team next year.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if they do have 4 first-round picks, I wonder if they're going to use it to trade, like, into the top 5.
That'd be crazy.
They couldn't do that last year. They couldn't get it done. But
18th, 25th, and 30th to get into the top 4. Yeah, it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, like, you need a guy to play alongside Michkov. Their best guy right now is Jet Luchenko, and I'm sorry, he's not. He's good, but he ain't going to be no.
He started at the NHL level. He's so good.
Well, youngest player in the league. Come on, younger than Macklin Celebrini. No, I look, we can go back to that all we want. I think he's going to be a good player, but
he's not a top-tier prospect.
He ain't no top-tier prospect. The Hockey News has him ranked like number 16 on their list. I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, he has been good this year for Guelph, but I don't think he's like going to change everything. Good second-line center. Like, he's going to be Lawton's replacement. It seems like that way. Anyways, Pittsburgh Penguins, I think they should sell, but what are they going to sell? Like
Grzelcyk and Beauvillier for like 3rd round picks, I guess. Yeah, they're apparently Dubas doesn't want to sell Raquel, and Carlson's probably an off-season move.
Yeah, I mean Jones did happen mid-season, but I would be like shocked if Carlson got moved between now and Friday. It would be absolutely shocking. It's not out of the question because I think, again, like, he doesn't make that much more against the team's cap than Jones did. So you could retain again, and he'd be like around where Jones is right now. So not terrible, but yeah, I think that they likely sell off a little bit, but they're not going to do a ton. Which I mean, they already made their big move with Pettersson, so
definitely.
San Jose Sharks, kind of the same thing. They don't really have a lot to move.
Yeah. Ferraro, I guess, if someone's willing to take him and give you like a 2nd round pick, maybe you move off him. Yeah. Forward wise, I don't even know who the hell they have. That's like an expiring guy.
I've heard Jake Wallman's name out there, but I think that's more of a next season.
Yeah, off season.
He's been really good though this year with them offensively. Has had a good season. The Seattle Kraken, I think you should sell, but I don't think they will. like sell, but I don't think
Gord and Tanev should be traded. I understand maybe not Alexiak, but their expiring guys better be traded, especially because they're forwards. They have a shit ton of forwards coming up in the system. Like, those guys got to play at some point, and you got to make room for them. If they somehow re-sign Yanni Gord on a 3 to 4 year deal, fire Francis like immediately.
Oh, 100%. You fire that the moment the pen hits the paper. I think that for the Kraken, like, you're not going to trade McCann as much as we're hearing the calls, unless if you get like an insane return the other way. I don't think they would move on from him.
Yeah.
You should. I think Taneb's good as gone. We heard today that they might even retain 50% on him, and I'm like, yeah, trade him. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
He should be traded tomorrow, to be honest with you, if that's the case. And then Gord should be gone. There's a couple other guys I could see going, but I think like realistically, it's those 2 or 3 guys. The St. Louis Blues, they're pretty intriguing.
Sell if someone's willing to take Braden Shen, even if you have to retain like $1.5 to $2 million. I think you definitely do that, just because he has 3 years left after this, and isn't remotely worth his cap hit. So move off him. Don't think they're going to do anything like too insane though, like as maybe been suggested. Right. But like a light sell. Maybe you could make the playoffs if you bought, but you'd be the 8th seed and get slaughtered in the first round. Yeah,
the only thing that I've heard is Shen. I've heard Parayko's name a little bit, but that's not happening. I think for Shen, like, I heard like the return that they wanted was a little bit ridiculous, so I think that it's more unlikely than but I mean, maybe there are a couple teams that are in on him, but it seems like more of an off-season move to me, in my opinion.
Definitely.
The Tampa Bay Lightning, who are your like number 1 team in the East.
Yeah, I think they got to buy. I think they got to do something on that third line. I say Kyle Palmieri to Tampa Bay, but whether it's Palmieri, Donato, they need to get some type of depth scoring. Maybe 2 moves, maybe bring in 2 kind of third liners. They don't have a ton of picks to do that. But yeah, I think they're a highly competitive team, and if they actually get some depth scoring, they could be a real threat.
They have depth. They have they don't have depth. What I meant to say is they don't have depth. They need depth. They do have some draft capital though. They have 2 second-round picks, 2 4th and 4 7ths, which is really
big
weird.
Time but package those.
Yeah, so you could really package those seconds and get some depth. Like it or not, like they are playing really good this season. They have been hot. You need more depth. That's no doubt in my mind. The defense is fine. The goaltending, Vasilevsky's back, but you need some more offensive depth for sure. Toronto, I think they should buy. This is probably like their best chance to.
Scott Lawton, third line center.
Yeah, Scott Lawton for Fraser Min. I'd love to see that.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think like this might be Toronto's best chance. Like the Eastern Conference, like
Florida looks a little weaker.
Yeah, it's not that pretty as of right now. I mean, like they would play Columbus, which would be pretty funny to see again. But yeah, I think that overall they should be going in and like aggressively buying. I've heard Shen, I've heard Lawn, I've heard like O'Reilly, I've heard Parayko too, but that's not happening.
O'Reilly back in the team would be pretty freaking funny.
He even said that like he doesn't want to come back just because of the media.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when he didn't resign, he was like, "Yeah, I just don't want to deal with that." Which to each their own. He's won a Stanley Cup. He doesn't have to put up with that bullshit.
Well, even with like, what was I going to say? Like Nashville even said that like, oh, we're going to trade him to someplace he wants to go to, and O'Reilly doesn't want to go to Toronto. So good luck with that. Utah.
Light buy. If there's moves. You've sold for so many deadlines for the past 3 years. I think they easily could make the playoffs considering now they're fully healthy. I'd light buy. Definitely nothing aggressive because even if they make the playoffs, they'd get killed in the first round. But making the playoffs would be a massive step for this team. What do they have? You would know. What do they have in their final Arizona season? Like 77 points or something like that?
They didn't have a lot. This has been a big improvement. I mean, even last year, like if it weren't for that 14-game losing streak, they were in
the mix. Yeah,
they were in the mix, and then everything else unfolded. But yeah, I think that overall, like you take out the injuries, I think this team like would be a lot closer than they are. But overall, I think you probably stay pat. Maybe go for like a light buy. If you lose a few more games to the end of the deadline, maybe you sell off like Bukestad again for like the 3rd time in a row.
He'll resign. Yeah, comes back.
Yeah, but again, I think that for Utah, there's not a lot of pressure. I think next year is really
definitely not.
I'm excited. What about Vancouver? They're very intriguing.
Sell. You got to sell. If you get a first round pick plus for Brock Besser, contract negotiations, apparently you're not willing to give him like 8 years.
Right.
It's time. This team needs a severe retool, and they're going to need those first round picks to do that. Brock Besser, and just for Brock Besser's own sake, he should want out to go contend and then sign with the team and get paid.
Yeah, that would be absolutely huge. Again, you could get a first for Nelson, at that value at 6.6. You could definitely get a first round pick for him for sure. I've heard a couple other names too. I've heard Pius Suter's name out there. I think for that price, you could get a third at most. You're not getting a lot for everybody else, but I mean, you do have some options there if you really did want to move them. And I have heard Elias Pettersson's name a little bit, but that's not.
I don't think anybody's touching that right now, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, nobody's touching that either. It's not a good look. The Vegas Golden Knights.
Buy. They picked up Brandon Saad for cheap, for nothing, just $1.5 million. So they're not going to be ultra aggressive because I don't think they have their next 2 first round picks and even some seconds. But yeah, I think given their age, they should do something, pick up another solid winger if it's out there. But if they do nothing, I'm not going to criticize them at all.
Yeah, me neither. I wouldn't be surprised though if they make another massive big move.
Oh yeah, something insane.
They always love to do that. The Caps. I got an interesting opinion on the Caps. I don't think they should really do much of anything.
I agree. Yeah, I honestly agree with that. I think Chris Patrick said that he doesn't want to mess with the chemistry, and part of it is because I think the season is a little bit fluky for them, and they have so much reinforcements up and coming. They got their own deadline acquisition in Ryan Leonard, who could be a massive impact guy. I think he's going to walk into the NHL and be productive. But yeah, maybe you pick up third line help. That's maybe their biggest weakness. But the top 6 is solidified. Top 4, the entire defense core is solidified. Yeah. Tandem's obviously solidified. Not saying they're a perfect team, but they're just see how this year goes in the playoffs and then adjust.
Well, you can always improve, without a doubt. All 32 teams could improve. The thing is with Washington, I feel like they have too many guys. They have a couple of guys who are in the minors that could be up in the NHL team. Mm-hmm. Especially when Leonard comes, there's going to be a couple of guys who are not going to play in the lineup who probably should be playing in the lineup. So yeah, I feel like it's a good problem to have, but the problem is they have too many good too many bodies on, especially on the forward core. Again, I don't really think you should do much of anything.
Yeah.
For Winnipeg, the last team, I have a different opinion. I think they should be going.
Yeah, similarly. Yeah, I think they got to be aggressive. I'd be targeting guys with term though, maybe not rentals. You saw with rentals, don't really want to sign in Winnipeg that much. So exactly, I've seen the name Rasmus Ristolainen get thrown around. I think that'd be a great pickup for 2.5 seasons after this. Be aggressive with that. But Cheveldayoff needs to get after it. After last year, they were aggressive and they still lost in the first round into 5 games. He needs to do something.
Yeah, you need probably another top 6 forward, another center, some defensive depth. I mean, I don't think their blue line is that bad. They have a lot of underrated guys. Sandberg might get a decent amount of money thrown at him in the offseason. Pionk has been good offensively this year. They're trying to extend him, but I do think you need another second or third pairing guy. But it's not a huge deal. But again, I do they should be still going all in. 100%.
Yeah, Logan Stanley should not be the defense should not be on in the defense core on night 1 of the playoffs.
He should not be playing regular minutes. Absolutely not. He should be the 7th or 8th defenseman at that. So I agree with that.
In case of emergency.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all 32. Those are all 32 teams in our positions on whether they will buy or sell. The last part of our trade deadline preview is we're going to be doing kind of a joint board together of our top. I think we'll try and do top 15. What do you think? That's good.
Yeah, sure.
So we're going to go back and forth, kind of just talk about guys the number 1 player that we think is the most likely and then go down from there. So Mike, I'll let you go first since you're the wonderful guest.
I'll go, might be wishful thinking, but I'll go Brock Nelson. I think he is going to get traded and I think he's the best. Are we just doing the most likely or a blend of good and likely?
Good and likely, I think.
Then Brock Nelson. I think he can be a legit second line center still on an actual contender, and I think it's still 70% likely that he ends up getting traded.
Yeah, I think with Nelson, it's still very, very interesting. I think that he should definitely be considered for sure. Again, like for the Islanders, like again, as we said, like you need capital and draft capital, and I think like getting a guy that could do that for you, I think it's definitely it would definitely be the right move. Number 2 for me, very interesting. Like I think after that, I'm trying to think like if I'm forgetting anybody. I might, to be honest, I think I'm gonna go. Unless I'm forgetting someone, I think I might go Law in number 2.
Yeah, makes sense. I think apparently 8 teams are interested. I think they are going to trade him at this year's deadline. I don't think you can like wait for him to potentially regress or get hurt next season. Yeah, move his ass, get that first round pick. Good asset management.
Yeah. No point in keeping him. I think that you need another first. Again, as we said, like they should go like big game hunting with those first. We can get into that again. But yeah, I think Lawton for sure definitely should be traded. And I think he's probably number 2. Like I think he is a little bit of a toss up even still though. Because I think like they, as much as like I want them to, they don't have to trade him. But yeah, I think you definitely should, especially with the interest that's out there.
All right, my next pick, I'll go Ryan Donato. He has like 22 goals, 23 assists this season. Chicago, makes no sense to re-sign him, and rightfully so. He's going to want to cash the hell out, considering what he signed in Chicago for like a 2x2. I don't think he's made a lot of money. Yeah. He rightfully so should take like a 5x5 by some team that's desperate. That should not be Chicago paying him until he's 33 years old. So I think that they might get a first round pick for him, and that'd be great by Kyle Davidson if he gets a first Spencer Knight and another first for retaining 2.5 of Seth Jones and Donato.
He's cheap. And again, I just think that overall, like, for a guy who is having like a really underrated season, I don't think a lot of people are giving it enough credit. I do believe that he definitely, like, he could even net you like a late first again, like with how weak the market is as of right now, for sure. Number 4 on my list, I'm gonna roll with. I think it's a little less likely that he does get dealt, but I'm going to go with Nelson. I'm going to go with not Nelson, Besser at 4.
Oh, yeah, just because.
Yeah, just because I think that overall, like again, like I haven't heard a lot about Nelson. Or oh my god, why do I keep saying Nelson? Besser and getting traded. It's just the Brocs that are getting me mixed up. But yeah, I do think like if Vancouver gets the right offer, I think you should absolutely take it. Yeah. And again, we've been hearing Besser trade rumors forever now, so I think it would make the most sense to probably move on from him at this point.
I'll go again. Wishful thinking maybe, but I'll go up Kyle Palmieri, making $5 million. Last year had 30 goals. This year is on pace for like 26 to 28 goals and assists. So I think that he's the perfect like third liner on actual contender, low end second liner, physical presence. Think he gets traded. Think he probably gets a first round pick potentially. And the Islanders should trade him.
And he's a rental too, by the way, right?
Yeah. Okay. He's a pending UFA.
Yeah. So you could, again, like as we said, like you could net a late first for him possibly just with how the market is right now. Yeah. So Palmieri at that spot. Next up, then I'm gonna go with give me Yanni Gourde. I'm going Yanni Gourde at number 6. Gourde, well, I think he's not what he used to be with Seattle. I still do think like he can be a good, with what he was with Tampa. I think he can go back to that decent role and be like a maybe second or third liner, or middle 6 guy on a playoff team. This year has been a little bit of a struggle. He is actually playing tonight.
Oh, that's good.
He playing in because he had that injury and he was going to be out for a little bit, and there was some concern.
Sports hernia, it was like 5 to 6 weeks. About 5 to 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was some concern about whether he was going to come back, but he's back. I wonder if him playing maybe will help the value. We'll see. But again, I think, is he a rental? I didn't look at that.
Yeah, I think so.
He would be a rental. So we'll have to see there with that.
Sorry, I'm looking up the the boards themselves. As I'm
it does get a little bit scarce.
I'll go. Riley Smith has been held out the last 2 games. It's possible that now that they've won the last 2 games and won it pretty dominatingly, that maybe they decide like, oh, we're not trading him. We're going to go for it in the playoffs. But I think most likely going to get traded for a second round pick. It's not like they owe Riley Smith anything. They got him this summer for a third or second round picks. Like, move off them, get solid assets, play your young guys, call up Brendan Ottman. Gabe Perreault is going to be coming up towards the end of the season, hopefully. So trade Riley Smith, move him.
Exactly. I think Smith, he has cup experience, won it with Vegas in 2023. So he is a valuable player, and I think I could see him even going back to Vegas.
That'd be funny.
It would be kind of funny, but yeah. And then next up, then I'm gonna go with I'll go with Brandon Tanev. Tanev, I think it's almost confirmed he's gonna get traded. Again, as I said earlier, he might get traded tomorrow. With that, it just seems
report.
It's again 50% retained on a guy who makes $3 million. Come on, you gotta
ideal fourth liner physical presence.
You have to do that for sure.
All right, what are we at? Number 9, I think.
Yeah, I think we're 9.
I'll go. There hasn't been a ton of buzz about this guy, but he only has a year left after this. I'll go Carson Soucy, the Vancouver Canucks. I think he's a intriguing third pair guy. He only has 1 year left after this at $3 million. So that might be a little bit tough unless Vancouver's trying to retain. But yeah, for Vancouver, they have Tom Willander coming up next year, hopefully at the NHL level. So they're going to need to make space on the right side. So move off Soucy, get a third round pick, second round pick, do the retool.
For sure. Yeah, I think Soucy, there's really no point in keeping him. Especially if you trade Besser, there's no point in keeping Soucy either, and might as well just trade him off for more draft capital. So I don't hate that. I think that would be a good. And then I'm just going to cut it off at 10. I'll hit, because after that it's just we're getting into fourth liners. I'll do
Dylan.
I'll do for my last guy. I'll go with Matt Grzelcyk. Why not? Grzelcyk, defenseman on
He's
Pittsburgh.
30 points this year. It's pretty impressive.
So he could make some decent numbers for a team that needs a third pairing guy. So I think that would be a good move for the Penguins. And that is our list. That is our trade deadline preview. Nice little hour. It's like we're running an In the Box episode.
Yeah, rookie numbers. I got to tap out. I'm tired. I'm too tired. I told him to stop. I told him not to go to 15. I'm too tired.
Any more thoughts, though, on the trade deadline overall? Anything that you're excited for?
Just hope that we get action. It stinks. There's been nothing since the Trent Frederic. I thought we were going to get some more deals tonight. I just want action. I want it kind of spread out for us content creators, so it's not just Friday, Nelson, Palmieri, Donato all getting traded. It was a good mix last year with Gensel, Hannafin, Hurdle, all happened on different days. Yeah, I just want a shit ton of action, including my New York Islanders doing shit, selling shit.
The 2023 one. The 2023 one was pretty.
That one was great. Yeah, that's
probably there was trades happening all the way up until the deadline day, and the deadline day was so mid. But yeah, I think that I would rather that as a content creator than get absolutely bombarded on deadline day and have to make 20 different videos. So
yeah, I'm good. For the average fan, it's the back in the day, stay home from school Friday, watch it all day. That was elite, but yeah, I'm selfish. I want the different YouTube videos spread out day by day, maximize the revenue.
Yeah, you're not even in school at this point. You graduated from Miami 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Been off for
3
a
years
little bit.
ago at this point. I'm old as fuck.
Oh my God. I'm graduating this year, dude. Come on.
Let's go.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for episode number 94 of the NordCast. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Anything you want to plug?
Mike Bartner, MB on Hockey on Instagram and TikTok. Mike Bartner on YouTube and X, Twitter. Always love hopping on with you guys. Well, you today. Got to get back on with the two other boys and just chop it up. Yeah, love hopping on the NordCast. Maybe I'll hop on the Nord Block pod as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure LeBlock would love that. Good luck on In the Box, because you're really making good strides with that, and I think that it's become a really enjoyable pod. With you arguing with Babs the whole time.
Thank you.
And your Oscar picks were very enjoyable. I don't know shit about movies.
Well,
I'm telling you right now, I haven't been in a movie theater in I think almost a year.
Come on, man. Gotta get an AMC list.
there's not like a lot of movies that like really interest me, and I'm busy during hockey season, and I'm like, I don't have time to go out to a movie.
That's fair. That used to be me. I'm not gonna lie. But then University of Miami, there's like a theater right next to campus. So I just started to go freaking stop.
Oh yeah, isn't it? I remember when the Four Nations was going on, there was like a movie next to TD Garden, and you're like, oh my god, this is
the movie theater. Yeah, dude, there's an AMC. That's insane.
Awesome.
That's sick.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend, I think we've been to like maybe 1 or 2 movies our entire time. We went to Despicable Me 3 just because we're children. And she wanted to go see Wicked, but we never had time to go out and see it. But
Wicked's a banger movie, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I heard it was okay. I never got to see Dune either. I wanted to see Dune, but I haven't been able to yet.
That hurts me. That hurts my soul.
Yeah. Or like I know you don't really like it that much, but Complete Unknown was one that I kind of wanted to see too. Because my grandparents are actually in the movie.
Yeah, the music biopics I can do without. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents are in the movie, so I
guess shit.
Yeah, they were like
That's
one
sick.
of the background characters, and they like also were watching it being filmed too. It was actually pretty damn cool.
It was filmed in New Jersey, like in Hoboken, so right next to the city.
Yeah, isn't like Hoboken in like Rhode Island or something, and they filmed it in Jersey?
No, Hoboken is a city in New Jersey, like across New York City. There's like the final festival is like California, or maybe it is Rhode Island actually. Yeah, it's Rhode Island, it's Newport, but they filmed it all in New Jersey because
that's what I meant. Yeah. All right. Well, that just shows my geography. I need to end this episode. Thanks for coming on. This will be it for us. We may be back Friday night into Saturday. We'll have to see. But probably not with Mike. We'll see. But yeah. All right. Thanks for watching or listening. We appreciate it. Go follow on Instagram and YouTube and all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode. Peace. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to yet again another episode of the NordCast. If you enjoyed, please subscribe down below or follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to follow us on TikTok, we are at NordCast. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, follow at NordCast_. That'll do it for this episode. I'm Nordic. Thanks for listening from all the crew, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.